You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the November 1st meeting of the Michigan City Tree Board. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Okay. I'd like to call to order the Wednesday, November 1st meeting at 6:30 p.m. here for the Michigan City Tree Board. Can I get a roll call, please?
In 1 moment.
Okay.
Thank you. Dennis Britton.
Here.
Angie Nelson Deitch. Not present. Betsy Alcesser. Here. Laura Henderson, I am here. James Malowitz.
Here.
Mary Nell Murphy. Here. Tim Warner.
Present.
Dahlia Zegas. Present. Excellent. We do have a quorum. And your name, please?
Phil Graff.
Phil Graff.
And he's been here before.
Yeah, I was at your May meeting
Yes.
6 months ago.
Yeah, with Nicole.
You remember me, that's good.
I do, yeah.
Thank you. I think you were on a video conference.
The next.
I may have been because I don't recall.
Yeah, you were on the, you were talking to me on the TV, I remember. But everybody else I remember
How do
here.
you spell your last name?
Graff.
Got it.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes for October. Has everyone had a chance to look over the minutes?
I do now, yes.
Are there any comments on the minutes? Any comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes for October?
I move for approval of the minutes for October.
Have a second?
Second.
Second and moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Secretary Treasurer's Report and claims for October.
I have a couple copies if anyone wants to look at them. Sure.
Printer issues, thank you.
Thank you.
Boy, those salaries are out of control.
I have a motion to decrease the salaries. That dies. Yeah, salaries of 0 times 100 are still pretty awesome.
So those include the per diems or whatever we get? I don't know, maybe they don't even pay it, I guess it'd be under
I
that.
thought it was for doing the minutes or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
That's the employee benefits.
What benefits?
The secretary does our minutes.
Yeah, it's the secretary who does our minutes. Did Dahlia sign it? Did Jim
okay.
sign it?
I thought I already
I think I
signed.
can get paid now,
You signed the
That was
October one.
October, catching up.
right? Because before I wouldn't be getting paid for this, but I can get paid.
No, she doesn't sign it.
Or B.
Well, that other one was for you last month.
It comes out to $45 and I said that was.
Oh.
Okay, does anybody have any comments on our budget? Any comments?
It's too small.
It's too small.
It's too many zeros.
Yes. Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the budget as presented?
I so move.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None, motion carries, budget's approved. Claims. What claims do we have? I know I saw the Malonia State Nursery. Did you see that, Jim?
No.
This is for the trees we purchased.
We should be exempt from sales tax if we give them our number.
That's right.
Good.
I didn't know how to do it.
How many trees are we purchasing?
This is what we
There
have.
was a package there that it doesn't
Looks like
specify how many
six, maybe
trees in
600.
that package.
Yeah, what's
Ten.
that two, well,
I think there's 10 trees.
Okay, well, that total number of trees is far less than what we
Yes, it is.
wanted to purchase.
I thought we were looking at 700 or something like that.
Right, well, I guess the trees that we selected weren't all
A
available.
lot of them are not.
What's the total?
Total's only
The
four.
total is
Oh, the wildlife packet.
$331.
Yeah, the wildlife packet has 100 trees each.
I think that's
I
right.
don't
They're
think that,
bundled.
Yeah, so
Oh,
there's a
got
bunch
it,
of different
got it.
species in those packets.
So we're getting, okay, this is 600 trees.
Yeah.
then.
600 trees?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I don't have that with me, but I seem to recall that it was 100 trees in each one of those
I don't
packets.
recall.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that many.
Maybe 70 then. I know there were quite a few trees in it. I guess we could look at the breakdown of 100 to what is in the packet. But some of the things we requested, I know they didn't have, so.
Yeah.
And this $331 will come out of our donation
Yes.
fund? Do we have enough to
Yes.
cover that?
Yes.
If we give them a tax ID number, we can be exempt from the sales
Well,
tax.
where do I get this?
From control.
Any financial arm of the city,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you can check with her and see if we can be exempt from sales tax.
I do have the form from last
Oh,
time.
I see.
And the wildlife packet is $70 each, a packet, $70 each.
Yeah.
And it says 10 each, and there's 13 trees here, so it's 100, it's a lot, 130 trees for $70.
Well, they are small.
They might,
Yep.
yeah, they're probably small.
Yeah, there's.
But that includes, that's the only way we could get pawpaws.
That's right.
Oh,
So there's
It's a
only
nice mix.
20 pawpaws, but
There's been a persimmons in there.
more than 0.
Yeah, it was a good variety of
Yep,
of
black
trees
gum.
in there.
It's still a lot of trees, so.
Yes. Any other claims?
Well, do we need a motion to approve this, or is the amount still in contention?
I think we could approve it with the
Caveat,
caveat of
Yeah.
seeing if sales tax can be excluded.
Yeah,
Then
okay,
approve
give
it
it
with that. Do I have a motion for that?
yeah, I move that we pay for our trees from the state nursery for $331 or approximately, with the caveat that we hope to have the sales tax removed.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to approve the bill as possibly modified. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you for following that convoluted motion of mine.
We will pay our bills. All right, communications is the next item on our agenda. Do we have any communications?
Let's see, we did. We had an email from Don Briggs. First he congratulated us. And then he said he had a conversation with somebody from the city working on a cleanup after a tree removal. And he mentioned that they have a 45-foot bucket truck and could use an upgrade to a 75-foot bucket truck. So, I don't know.
Can you explain to me who Don is and
Oh, Don is a
owns this
friend of,
bucket truck?
Don is a friend of, and a neighbor of Dennis's.
He's
And-
fairly active in town with Progressive Democrats. He's on NAACP and so on and so forth. So he's,
Well, I don't care about his
Right.
politics.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if he works for the city or.
no, he does not.
He's a tree man?
He's
Let me
very
read this.
active in the community.
Because when I tried to summarize, I garbled it. Hi again. By a stroke of luck, I just spoke with Nathan, the guy who drives the bucket truck for the city's tree work. He and a colleague were cleaning up after a tree removal at my neighbor's house across Madison from me. I mentioned the 1 million grant headline and that I'm looking forward to removing the 2 big old diseased maples from my frontage on Madison at York. He said that their current 45-foot bucket truck could use an upgrade to a 75-foot bucket truck. Just what you need, suggestions from the crowd about how to spend all that money. All the best, Don. So Don is not a city employee,
Okay.
No.
he's just
Well,
saying.
very interesting, but I don't think that was an item in on the grant.
I don't
We do
think
have
so
equipment,
either,
but not that much equipment. Not to,
Right.
to get a new truck, and that's something that I'm sure the central services will be talking about is making sure they can keep their equipment up to date as well. But
Yes.
it's not on our budget to be able to do that. Let's see. What do we have
Since our
now?
budget
I don't
is-
know.
It sounds good, but it's a lot less than it
Yes.
used to be.
Okay, and then there's also a letter from Tim to the Board of Works.
Yes.
Or you go in the order you want, I'm
No,
sorry.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Help us move along.
Yes, Tim sent a letter of recommendation to the Board of Works for our favorite candidate. And we also,
For city arborist,
yes, for city arborist, and then we also got a letter from Tatanisha
from HR in the
from
city.
HR, and, yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just filling it, I'm filling it in,
Yeah,
yeah.
much better.
Asking if we wanted to, look back again at a candidate we'd already interviewed.
No, actually, it's a candidate we have never interviewed.
That is a
Yeah,
different
this is a different
candidate.
candidate.
Sorry about that.
It's
I
not
made the
Nick
same
Wolf, this is
mistake.
Michael,
You corrected
Michael
me.
Wolf.
Ah,
Different Wolf spelled
Oh,
different.
so he's not a person that
No, we've never spoken with him.
No.
okay.
I actually thought he looked pretty good,
I thought he looked great.
but we've already recommended somebody to the Board of Works, so I think.
Yeah, well, the comment I made after you said a letter was received was, I guess, I misspoke because I thought I had met this person before. But I'm troubled by this pattern of last-minute applications, and the date on the application was the Monday after
Right.
we made a decision to put forward the name of the.
So I think we're already locked in.
Right, I mean, it's nice to know there's somebody out there if we need a second choice.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right, if this current fellow falls through,
Yep.
then we'll be looking at the second person, but I think, I also share your concerns about the lateness of getting it. And I was thinking that if we have to reopen this process and look at these other candidates, it might be worth it for somebody on the board to have a conversation with
HR.
the HR department about
getting notified
the
on a timely basis.
importance of promptly forwarding these things to us, because folks can move on, find another job, we don't even have a chance to talk to them, So,
Well, and I don't think it's fair to the persons that we've already interviewed to suddenly put them on a longer hold so
Right.
that we can look at somebody else,
Right.
because this is gonna be never ending.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to continue to move ahead with our current candidate and see
Yeah.
how that
I agree with
that
that.
goes. It was indicated to me when I got the resume that we could try to get this person, if we interviewed him quickly, on the agenda with the Board of Works on the 9th, but I didn't think we would all be able to get together in time to interview him properly, so
what is happening on the night?
that's when the Board of Works meets with
Oh, I
our
see.
candidate. So,
So they do an interview with him, sort of similar to what we did? I see.
Well, maybe
at
not
least,
similar.
yeah, it's more just check references and get the information together they need to see if they can move ahead with the hiring. I'm not sure what they do. I didn't attend the last one with Nicole, so I'm not sure.
Are they also on YouTube?
I
Yeah.
believe all
Maybe
meetings
I'll
with Board of Works are
Tune in
available.
and
so-
see what they say.
All except anything dealing with,
Personnel, right,
Oh, well, then they wouldn't
yeah.
be there for that.
That will be an executive
Thank
session on the
you.
9th, yeah.
Okay.
November 9th anyway, so.
Yes.
Any other communications?
I don't think so. Mary, do you know?
I will say, yeah,
Well, that's under the grants.
I will say I'm moving ahead with, working with Drew White to get our budget updated for the decreased number. I talked with him earlier, and he knows that it's coming. I gotta work on the SF.
From the Forest
For the
Service.
Forest Service, sorry. Thank you again for our grant application. So I've been working on the SF-24, which is a federal form that we had in our original application, but I've got to get that updated for our lower award money, so. I'll,
Do we
get
have
that
a
hopefully.
due date on that?
No, they just want it by the end of the year, so the sooner we can get
okay.
So we
it,
do.
yeah.
Okay,
Well,
I
that's,
thought he said he wanted it in a month from when we talked to him.
He's got the numbers already, I just have to get the SF-24
Oh, gotcha.
together.
Okay, I do remember something like by the end of the
Are we
year.
gonna discuss the numbers and the budget in that revised budget?
Yeah. Yep, it's on the here, yep.
Okay,
Dennis
Tim?
has-
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just in regard to communications, just as sort of a formality, I think when we do get communication like we did from Don, that we do send back a response to them, just saying thank you for your interest, and this is not something that we decide on.
Did you want to do that?
First off, I'm suggesting, in general, when we get a communication from an interested individual,
We should.
that
Well,
we
yeah,
get back
I
to
didn't know if
Yeah,
you were-
of course.
if you were
No,
saying-
no, of course I can do that, but just for the
hear ya.
record,
I hear ya.
when we do get communications like that, God bless
hear ya.
them, and we respond to them.
I agree with you,
Appropriate,
Dennis,
yeah.
that's the
Yeah, and I will
right
get
thing
back
to
to
do.
Don.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other communications? Hearing none, committee reports. Anything new under committee reports? I'm looking at the list, I don't really
Oh, no, it's
see.
Public relations,
Um,
we did a
we
pre,
did, and we posted something on
yes.
Facebook.
Yeah.
About the grant, so
Yes.
I can hold on it, since we did it, today, at noon, I posted, about our $1 million grant from, the Forest Service that we're quite excited about, and, per the Forest Service, suggestion that all the grantees release, simultaneously, post about it using a hashtag, like funding, forestry funding, funding urban forestry. So I put that out, and it just
And you
got,
did
1,000 likes back on that. Oh, no, that's right, only Laura responded. So, yeah, that's not like a big way to get things out, so I'm happy that there's been a press release, she said in a segue.
Oh, yes, there has been a press release that I drafted and sent to Tim for review, quoting our president on his feelings about the grant, and sent it to the Beecher and to the Herald or the News,
Dispatch.
whatever the paper is in LaPorte that covers Michigan City. And I'm going to send it to the radio station that Mary and I discussed as well.
On the way in, yes.
Yes, and I don't know.
WEFM.
Yeah, and maybe New Buffalo, I might send it to New Buffalo as well. They have a newspaper there, and then sometimes they cover Michigan City. So,
That's great.
Very good.
Thanks for doing the press release.
Yeah.
sure, and I thought I was sent it to the other board members, but maybe I didn't. So,
I don't remember
I can do
seeing the
that.
press release.
Okay, yeah,
I
forward
don't
forward it.
remember
I don't-
that
I think
either.
I saw it.
I thought it was on, everybody was on the list, but,
I'll check.
all right.
Okay,
Grants we
let's see.
talked about already.
I want to talk a little bit about Arbor Tree giveaway. We ordered like 2 days after the sale opened, and a lot of the plants a lot of the trees we wanted to get were gone. So I would like to move that every September, we discuss what we want, what our dream trees are, and appoint an individual to go ahead and order on the first day. So we have a better chance of getting what we want.
Do we know what that day will be, or is that part of the problem? We don't find out until it's already open?
I think
I think it's the 1st of October.
it is the first Monday of October,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure of that, but I think it is.
I love the spirit of that motion, and will second it.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to Do I have an agreement? All say aye or nay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. No. Motion carries.
I think it might be a good
Who
idea
should that
to
be?
restate the motion.
Motion? Well, it needs to be a new motion now since we already passed this one, so you're welcome to make another motion.
I'm not making another motion. And I, as I suggested, we should appoint that person at the September meeting.
Okay. Do I have a motion to appoint the person to follow up on trees and who would be candidates for that? A motion? You want to state
I'll
a
second
candidate?
that. Yeah, I'm fine to do it.
All right.
Yeah.
I would we change the motion to include you as that candidate?
Sure.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second to approve that candidate?
I second that motion.
Sure. Yeah, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, you are it. You're on the second committee. Thank you very much.
I did it another time, it's just, yeah, but that's excellent to be,
Dennis, are you trying to get a
So put that on your calendar.
or did you wanna do it?
No. This is something that I tried to get noticed before, but I need to do it.
Okay,
When we were talking about press releases, and I was trying to get your attention, WEFN has a service, it's usually early in the morning, where people can get on and report such things as, we're going to be having a tree giveaway at the farmer's market. It's always a good way to get information out there as valuable, in some ways maybe more valuable than a press release, because the EFM covers a broader area. And, along with the announcement, you can do a short segment, maybe 15 minutes, in regard to what the tree board is, what we do. It's a really good promo for.
That sounds like an
That's an
excellent thing for the
excellent
arborist to do.
WIMS also does something like that.
Oh, good.
Wouldn't that be great for our new arborist?
Yes.
It would be a good.
I think he's
It would
gonna
be
have
good.
enough to
Yeah.
do.
Well,
Dennis?
Or in, in conjunction with maybe one of us.
I think you need a tree board member because he's not gonna know what the tree board has been up to, so,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's best, the way I've done it in the past with other people, is two people go on.
Yeah, right.
So, that way,
Can
you talk
you,
back and forth, and
Dennis,
Rick
get the
Federici is very
information
good.
together for who, what time and who and how they do it? And
Yeah.
then at the next board meeting, we'll make the call on who should get lined up to do that, okay?
Right. Now, again, that would be when we have the tree giveaway, so we plan that in
Right.
advance, but it's usually about between 8 and 9 in the morning.
So they actually do it in the studio?
Yeah.
So you go in there and they basically interview you about whatever you're doing.
Right.
That's probably be a great
WIMS is more
program,
like
yeah.
6 or 6:30 in the morning. WIMS is more like 6 or
Well.
6:30 in the morning. So that's not you.
That's not
That'd be
me.
a good
I was
thing
just
to
gonna
do.
say, that's, all those in favor of Dennis getting up at 5 in the morning to do this.
Well, being that I often don't get to sleep till 4, it's, I might as well
You
sit
stay up an
there.
hour.
Okay, Dennis has a really good.
So yeah, if you could bring the information back to us for the next meeting and who we should talk to and that, and then we'll figure out who's gonna do it and call them when we set it up.
And those
Thank you.
early risers are exactly the sort of people who probably would like to get a tree.
Yeah,
And I think as a way to introduce the new arborist, once we have one, I think that might be good, and we can always return,
Sure.
when it's closer to the giveaway.
Sure.
Okay, great.
All right, any other committee report information?
So that was the Arbor Day, Sustainability Commission coordination. Okay, we talked about that. Arbor Day, grants is next.
Grants, we've talked about. Next steps, I already said what I gotta do to get the numbers together, and then we'll,
And I'll create that e-account, as requested by them for working on the grant.
Speaking of next steps, I was at a conference this weekend and picked up a couple things just as kind of reminders that since we will be having to get a tree inventory very soon, Davy Tree Group Davy Resource Group, or whatever they call themselves, is one possibility. And here's a new company, Meristem, and they also do tree surveys, and that we have other options too.
Right.
What about,
Those in-
And Phil does that too.
Excellent.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah,
does Clay's company, do things like that? Tree and,
I don't think they do inventories, so,
okay.
but I will
That's a
actually
different
have
thing when
a
you-
call with them and find out.
Dave, you want me to second one?
Davy Tree and Meristem.
Maristan,
You'd
thank you.
probably be competitive in terms of pricing, I imagine. Are we gonna talk about the budget and the revised budget for the grant?
Yeah,
I have a thought on that. I saw the numbers, Betsy, that you had put together, reallocating the funds,
Well,
reducing it to.
They're
was
pretty
all of us,
raw
yeah.
numbers.
Yeah, and reducing it to the $1 million from what we had requested. My only thought was, I thought the administrative percentage of it was, could be reduced perhaps. We have 20% allocated for administration management, and that seems, I wonder what the thoughts of the other board members are about reducing that amount and reallocating those funds to the, installation of shade trees.
I believe that once we get this budget approved and move forward, the way Drew stated it, we can reallocate them any way we need to over time, since it's a 5-year moving target, the disbursement of this money. So this was more so they can key in and understand how we're going. And these numbers are pretty close to what they approved. We just kind of decreased them percentage-wise when we all got together to kind of match the overall distribution of money from what it was that the Forest Service approved originally. So I don't want to change these numbers too much, since they already have approved kind of the percentage of how our 1.3 million was going to be distributed.
And they've built in flexibility.
Yeah,
Was that 20% as well?
yeah. The only thing we increased a little bit, well, we hardly increased any, but I mean the numbers we increased were thousands and not hundreds of thousands. So there wasn't a big change in percentage of any of these numbers.
As far as grant administration goes, I did speak to somebody who's head of urban forestry of open lands back in Chicago. He's a certified arborist, and he already knew that we got this grant. And he gave me a very strong recommendation that we hire somebody part-time to do the reports, to make sure that the various contracts that are involved are coordinated, and that we not leave this up to, you know, the arborist he's gonna have enough to do.
I agree.
I mean, that's a full-time job before we even receive this
I agree.
money.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like his forte is
So you,
crunching
what
numbers.
you're suggesting is that we have control of this sort of process of tracking the money versus letting the comptroller or somebody else from the city do it.
Yeah, the comptroller
They don't-
holds the money.
Yeah, they don't want to do it.
They don't want to
They're
do
gonna
that.
pay out the
And
money.
we're gonna be more
But-
intimately involved with this, and I agree with that, but I just think 20% is excessive.
But if I
From
could,
this.
it might be, if I could just continue what he said, you've got to get a person who's experienced with federal grants to do your reports. Because there is a person downtown, at the city hall that does some kind of reporting. But if Drew suggested that we do quarterly reports, I think that's more than a suggestion. We really should do quarterly
Right.
reports.
Well, I think there's different kinds of reports. I think that financial reports were required twice a year, which Mary Lynn would do once a year. So we would still have one a year to do. And the quarterly reports, I think, were more like what we were doing, rather in addition to
The financial
Well,
reports, or what's program.
Regardless, you can lose this money midway through the process if you're not doing what the feds expect you to do.
Sure. So I agree that we need to hire
So-
somebody.
Yeah, so some of this administration, and it's and hopefully more than we would ever need for grant management, but that would include reports, it would
Yes.
include coordination,
Yes.
it would include, you know,
And
our input into all this.
I will interject in my conversation with Drew. He did mention that the SCA got much less money than they had requested.
Yes,
Yeah.
much.
And it was kind of stressed that what we're doing is supporting them and training and things. We had that in our original proposal, that we would be paying SCA for some of their services, and this grant administration and management is also SCA's money as well as cities for distribution. So,
Is that the group what is
yeah, that's the
SCA?
Student Conservation Association.
And they're the people that are gonna be planting the trees in the city?
Yeah, they
Well, we hope
and they are
are.
still working on what they're able to do with their budget.
Will they be obtaining the trees?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so if they come up short, my dream would be to take even more money off of the removal/pruning, which is like half the grant here, because I think a lot of the city of Michigan City should be responsible for a lot of
Well,
that.
if you look at the final contract, I've added trees in that.
That morphed into, removal pruning morphed into maintenance,
Yes. So now-
purchase, installation.
What's in there now
okay.
is trees, removal, maintenance, prunings, hazard trees, invasive trees. So I see that as more malleable into purchasing
All right,
trees
yeah,
now. So
Okay.
I did that. So that's
Okay.
530, I see, because the city central services already has a budget of 100,000 usually a year to do.
Extra.
Yeah,
Yeah.
removals and things.
Right.
So talking to Drew about that, and he said, yeah, let's throw trees, purchase in there, since we're not sure what SCA is gonna be able to do.
I also want to note that, this is over 5 years.
Yes.
So
Right.
that's, it seems like a lot of money, but it's also over 5 years. And we have we can move things around as needed, and it's in flux, while SCA also said they're not ready to, because they got a big hit, so it's all still in flux somewhat. So I like this budget, I think it makes sense, I think we need to move forward on it, with the knowledge that we can adjust it in
Right.
time.
I wonder if SCA, since they must get federal grants all the time, if they have somebody that can help us with these reports.
That's one thing that we hope to have them be able to do. I mean, they're going to hire people here in the community to help, and training, where that's part of the thing, what
Well,
we're
we
doing.
don't want somebody, just a part-time student or something doing
No.
reports to the
No,
federal
no,
government.
No, that's not what SCA does.
Okay. No, I'm aware that they have I've been a donor to that organization. They have a very strong record of planting, and they have planted every Saturday in October in the Hammond area, and done a very admirable job. So this is a good organization that we're partnering
So
with.
how much money did they get, do you know?
They
They asked
have,
for
I think-
3 and 30 million, and they got 10, is that what it was?
But that was not part of the grants in Indiana, is that like a?
It's
It's a national,
That's a
that's their national.
That's why it didn't show up in the state by state
Right.
stuff.
That's a
And
huge trend.
And when we spoke with the SCA people, they were hoping to drag a good chunk of what they did get here to Northwest Indiana.
but
including
they're
Michigan City.
focusing on Lake County,
County.
and we would be after that.
Okay,
They're hoping that can get to us.
they're hoping they can get to
They
us.
said
That's how I heard it.
They said
That's how I heard it.
2025.
Right, yeah, it's all, it's not decided yet.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that the whole point of the way we structured our grant application in terms of using much of the money for removal and maintenance of trees and very little emphasis on planting new trees was dependent upon
SCA getting the
SCA
grant.
planting a substantial number of trees in Michigan
Depending
City.
upon them getting the grant, yes.
I think so
They
too.
did not get their grant amount, just like we didn't get our grant
And
amount.
that's why he's changed the
So
way.
we're modifying how it is, so we can get it to work with the money we've got, and the money they got.
Well, our first year emphasis is going to be the inventory. Because you
Yeah,
don't
right.
plant before you get an inventory.
A lot of
so-
planning.
So we don't
Yeah.
need them necessarily for us to go
Right, in
ahead.
fact, we're not really gonna have a contract with them until the beginning of the second year.
And they also noted that they will be requesting more funds through
From other
grants,
sources,
you know, next year and the year beyond. So this is what they have this year. And they, through other sources as well. So I'm hopeful.
So back to the grant management, we can contractually hire somebody,
Yes.
Yes,
an experienced person, it doesn't have to be SCA or anyone, it has to be
Correct.
somebody who knows grants and can manage it, and just like sign a yearly contract or whatever.
Correct.
I just
Yes.
hope
All
we have an
reports.
easier
Say
time
again for all the
finding this.
reports. Thank you.
that's where I'm at right now.
I
Thank
just
you.
hope we have an easier time finding this person than we have had finding it for us.
Yes, indeed.
Well, my suggestion would be to ask around at the national park, because they obviously have experience working with the feds. But I wouldn't know where to start finding somebody.
No, maybe
We'll
I should call
investigate, but
Tammy
I'm-
Platt and see.
I'm also hoping that we get our arborist on board soon and that they are able to do that, because I don't wanna have to get our proposal together to get an inventory from around, but if we don't get an arborist, that's what I'll start working on. I've got the examples from the previous years, so I can kind of borrow from that and get going, but I really hope that that's what our arborist will be able to do once he or she comes on board, so we'll go from there, so, all right. Anything else under committee reports? Hearing none, there is no arborist, so we have no arborist reports, so any old business, item 8 on our agenda. Any old business? Any old business? Hearing none. Any new business? Any new business? Any new business? Hearing none, we move to comments from board members. Do we have any board members who wish to have comments? Betsy?
I saw an article in the Chicago Tribune the other day about a municipality west of Chicago in Geneva, which is a lovely city. And I guess some old oak trees were cut down at the site of a proposed warehouse. And long story short, they didn't have any kind of legal way to prevent this from happening or to get the company that cut them down to agree to any replacement, because they didn't have much of a tree preservation ordinance. And it turns out that a lot of cities of all sizes do not, and I think someday when we have time and some contacts with city council, some sympathetic contacts on city council, that we should work on getting a better tree ordinance for Michigan City. And the heart of every ordinance is the requirement of a permit before things like this happen.
I believe the city has that now through
But
planning.
only
because
for
I think
commercial
right.
property?
Right,
For subdivision,
Yeah.
yeah, subdividing land for, right, building, yeah.
they have to do a tree inventory of their parcel first and then protect as many trees as they can within 10 feet of the proposed building footprint, if I remember right.
Yeah, and there's a certain, like, if you cut down something 8 inches, I think dBA or something.
There's
then
a
you-
replacement per, yeah.
Yeah,
And I think based on my conversations with Skylar in regards to another case, that if it's within the footprint of the building, they can cut them.
So they can cut down trees in order to put a building in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 10 feet. outside of the building.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well, the permitting process is the key, because if somebody goes to get a permit, and whoever they're getting the permit from can say, maybe you can move that over just a little bit and save a few more trees, or emphasize the value of the trees, especially for flood protection and things like that.
and that's one of the reasons we need a forester, because they can,
yes,
Right.
yeah.
Well, the two go hand in hand.
they attend those meetings and put in that kind
Lots of things we
comments.
volunteer board members can't keep our thumbs on,
Yeah.
as much as we would like to.
I hear you, that's.
Well, I would like to
important.
see the
Yes.
present ordinance and see what else we can do. And the other goal I have in the future is someday to officially change the job description for city forester / arborist, because I think that some of the hard feelings that we've had among some of our applicants were due to the fact that the requirements were a little misdirected. What I'm talking about is requiring a degree in biology versus a
Certification and
certified
experience.
arborist, which is more of the skill set that we need. And I don't think we would have had that kind of problem at our last meeting, because that person thought that they were qualified, and, because on paper, maybe they thought they met those qualifications.
Would you like to take a crack at drafting up these changes in the ordinance and bringing to us sometime in the next few?
The ordinance, I'd love to. The job description, I've actually already done that.
Yeah, if you could do those things, yeah. If you could do
I don't
that,
know where to go with that.
well, bring it here and then we'll all
Okay.
hash around, and then we'll forward that to the powers that be up at City Hall and see where it goes,
Okay,
okay?
before we
Thank
have to hire anybody else.
Yes. Yeah, no, that'd be great. So, yeah, just track the changes in the document and say
Excellent
this is what's
comments.
Yes.
Right.
a better thing to do with this particular line in the ordinance. This would be better. We can then chat about it here and move forward.
Okay,
Okay?
next year sometime.
Yeah, these are all moving parts, so thank you. All right, next, Mary Nell.
Yes, I am sad to report what you all may have seen in the news and the Indiana DNR and the local parks and our local Audubon group have reported on this, but the spotted lanternfly has now been found in northern Indiana. And so already in Switzerland and Huntington counties, it's this invasive, horrible thing, has been confirmed in Elkhart, Porter, and St. Joseph counties.
I'm glad it's staying out of here.
All around.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
the work that we've done has kept that away,
Isn't one of the primary habitats for the
Tree of
spotted
heaven.
is the tree of heaven?
Yes.
That's
And
where
we'd
they
like
did
to see
their
going
Bird,
anyway.
both of them.
My goal for the tree board would be a major eradication effort, and I noticed the control of invasive species is one of the elements of the
Hear,
revised
hear.
budget for the grant, because I mean, I drove up here, coming up from Indy in 31, and you just see
That's
tree
all
of
you see
heaven
on each side.
everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
That's all.
Along the fence lines and
Right.
such, in the right of way, and it's horrible,
Yes.
horrible, and that is one aspect of this,
Yeah.
the bug, and we really need to do more about eradicating it. But most people don't have any idea about these invasive species.
It's true.
Um,
We have in INDOT the posting of the spotted lanternfly and the, not gypsy, what are we calling it?
Gypsy moth.
Spongy.
The spongy moth on our bulletin board. I'd like to see the tree of heaven up there as an enemy of the
Yeah.
state as well.
It is illegal.
Because I see them mostly along INDOT fence roads.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
how they're traveling back and forth
Yes.
from wherever they're traveling to,
Right.
is following the highways. has the semis blow their seeds up along the roadways and stuff. If we could have NDOT work on that. I've been trying to work on the inside for our LaPorte district. It's just, we need pressure in other places as well, especially Indianapolis office. So,
I think, most people don't understand the importance about invasive trees. They just don't, they think that it's a bunch of, I don't know, when you start talking about an invasive tree, to most people who aren't on a tree board, or you're not arborists, they think you're just like crazy. Like, why should you care? What do I care whether it's invasive or it's native? Who cares? They're all trees, right? They're all green. That's a good thing. They're cleaning the air of bad things. And so somehow that message has to be. We need like a major public education campaign about this public service announcement. I don't know how people do that anymore.
I'm guessing it's bigger than our tree board.
Talk to the camera. You're on right now.
Yeah, well,
For all 12 people at once.
they're really creating problems and wreaking havoc with our forests.
Yes.
Yes, agreed.
Maybe-
My second comment, I'm sorry, go on.
No, then you go ahead,
Okay.
it's your turn.
Well, first I have something somewhat frivolous, and then I will go to my real comment. But I will put on our Facebook page this about the spotted lanternfly, as well as a clip to Bowen Yang on Saturday Night Live dressed as a spotted lanternfly. So the word is getting out, and what a horrible invasive species they are. But my real comment is, Tim, do we need to have a vote about the revised budget, or that's just dealings with, fine, I just want to make sure we didn't get her.
Nothing in here is cast in stone anyway.
Okay,
So
super.
this is just to get the approval with the modified amount so that they can move ahead and get everything set. And
Super, thank
keep
you.
moving on to the next step before the end of the year.
It's paper compliance.
Yes.
We're getting back to this invasive species thing. I mean, what about, just kind of trying to brainstorm. Is there anything we could do about getting the city crews to focus on eradication of these invasive trees when they find them in the right of way
First of
around
all,
the city?
get an
Is that-
arborist.
Do they really even
I
care?
think we
Do they
need to get an
know?
arborist because we need someone who
Yeah.
can identify these.
Yes, truly.
And some of them, in some cases, they might need to be treated with herbicide, which your average city employee is not qualified to do.
Okay, so I'm done with my comments.
Okay.
Thank you, Barry.
Next, no comments. Well, you've started.
I've made mine.
Okay, you've had yours, Dennis?
Yeah, I wanted to follow up on something that Betsy got going in regard to once we're able to finally breathe a sigh of relief having a city forester. I'd like to do separately sort of a deprogramming, decathecting process where we look at everything that we have been through currently, and in light of what you mentioned too, what are things in the descriptions we have that tripped us up along the way so that we don't have to repeat it, and if anything, we can improve on that process in the future. And I would recommend a separate meeting, not during our usual, where we can just really talk turkey and look at and check off, this is not working, this is how we can improve.
Agreed.
Is that something we could do in an executive session?
I don't know.
I think you might be able to have a committee meeting, as long as it's not a quorum.
Yeah, have a committee look at that.
What I don't understand is, we could revise the job description, but who in City Hall would adopt it or accept
Does
it?
it have to
or-
be approved as an ordinance, Dahlia? I mean,
I
to
don't
change the
believe
job?
so, I don't believe so.
It seems like I had this discussion with Yagelski in the mayor's office at some point when and it was, I was following up on something, Tim, that we had talked about. And he told me that if you wanted to change the job description, I seem to remember him saying that it had to come through like passage of an ordinance or passage.
Well,
by
didn't they,
the
but
council.
it was changed without an ordinance. I mean,
They changed it.
yeah, so it's been city forester, somehow it became arborist without an ordinance.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
The ordinance was just a change of salary.
I see.
Okay.
Now, this would be a change of requirements.
Well, let's,
I don't know, but we need to run that
Yeah,
down, because we do need to be on top of that process. And you're right, Dennis, we don't wanna have to go through this whole mess again.
so Betsy, let's move forward like you said you would do in sometime in the
Yeah.
near, not too distant future, go through
Okay.
the changes.
And I know we've got public comments to come too, so I just wanna make sure we're.
Just quickly, in addition, it's not just the process that we went through and how we can improve on. We also need to address the situation that precipitated us having to go through this process again. And how can we sort of be on top of that and be ahead of the game and have a little bit.
Are you talking
Well, we've
about,
done two things along those lines. One was that salary was ridiculously low. We've increased the salary, thank you, Dahlia. And the other was that the two jobs of vector control and city forester were combined, and we separated them. So we've done those two
In
things.
addition, what I'm recommending is how we lost our previous force.
It was because of those two things.
No,
No.
No, the
the
most.
most recent,
Oh,
that, we need to address that as well.
Okay, all right, noted.
Okay.
I just want to say I really enjoyed serving on this board. I'm gonna probably have to step down pretty soon as I'm heading to Colorado. So a whole
oh,
bunch of new trees to learn over there. So this has been one of the most fun boards, and I really enjoyed it. And I will let you know when I have to really take off.
Delia, I just wanna say how grateful I am for all of the work you've done on the tree board and so many other commissions and boards. But you have just been a great model for a wonderful tree board member, and I thank you for all of the Arbor Foundation work and all of the council work and all of the knowledge and expertise that you brought, and I am gonna miss you so much, and I'm very grateful for all you've done.
That
What
goes
she
for
said.
pretty much all of us.
yes,
Yeah.
very much so.
Thanks.
And I think the thing that I'm going to miss is that wherever I seem to go, whatever I seem to be involved with, you were there. And so suddenly, who's missing her? Oh yeah, Donna, she's not here.
I don't know how you do it. You're everywhere. And
Yeah,
the same with me when I've gone to things. There dahlias at things too, and I'm only a small part. Dennis is only going to a small part, but you're in all of these things.
Yes.
and maybe you
She
should
is.
help recruit your replacement.
I will definitely think about that, but I'm gonna try to retire better this time.
But good luck with that.
I don't think there's
Again,
any
thank you.
replacement for Doug.
Yeah, no.
Wish you the best of luck.
And I don't think I have anything in particular at this point other than thanking Dahlia for her service to not just this board, but the whole city.
Thank you.
All right,
Now,
next item on the agenda,
Waiting so patiently.
public comments. Do we have any public comments? Are there any public comments?
So that's how I made it onto the agenda as the public, I guess. Well, thanks for having me here. I
Introduce yourself, please, your address.
I own a company called Great Lakes Urban Forestry. I've met all you guys actually back in May when Nicole had me here. And then I reconnected with Tim and Betsy at the Indiana Tree Stewards last month.
That's right.
And we got to talking about the tree inventory proposal that I had provided to Nicole in her short time here. So I thought it would be a good time to come and revisit that. It has been hard to sit here patiently because there's been so many times I wanted to comment on all the things you guys are talking about. I've been doing this for 30 years. I specialize in urban forestry management.
Did you take notes? So you-
I did. I did. And I don't know how much time I have, but I'll
You
try
have
not
all
to take
the
up too
time
much
you
time.
want.
Do you live in Michigan City? Because there's gonna be a spot on the tree board coming up.
I'm in Rolling Prairie. I'm 20 minutes away, so I'm just outside of Michigan City. But yeah, there's what's going on here is great. You guys seem like you have a really good hold on what needs to be done, especially it's in this exciting time with you guys getting the grant, the IRA grant. That's awesome. I can tell you that in my 30 years in this business, urban forestry is always pushed aside for other projects, always. You know, we're kind of like the I don't know how you want to put it, but the stepchild of all the public works projects. And this is like really exciting for all of us because it's like finally our time to get here and do some good things. And there's a lot here in Northwest Indiana that's necessary in terms of tree removal and hazard tree pruning and reforestation, especially coming off 2 decades of emerald ash borer. Now we're talking about spotted lanternfly, of course, and invasive tree removal. I think some of these things like invasive tree removal, and I have to echo, I'm sorry I couldn't remember your name.
Jim Melowitz.
Jim, because I do recognize you. You were on the television last time I was here on video conference. But yeah, invasive species is just as much of a problem as the invasive insects, emerald ash borer, and you're absolutely right about that. So anyway, I just have one question for you guys because I'm trying to get a little bit more clarity on the situation. Have you hired an arborist? At the onset of the meeting, it sounded like you hired an arborist.
We made a recommendation to the Board of Works for an arborist. We interview a candidate, we come up with whether that candidate should be advanced forward or not. This particular candidate, we just advance forward, and the Board of Works then has the next step of looking at that candidate and seeing if this is a candidate they want to move forward to the city HR for hiring. So that's the step. So now we've moved that as our recommendation for this candidate to the Board of Works. They will meet in executive session, talk about this candidate, make sure the background check and everything is fine, that everything that he says is true, do the checks, possibly call his references and things, and then they'll make the recommendation of moving him forward to be hired or not.
Okay, because then you said a few times, if we get an arborist, so if they committed to at least getting one, they have to getting one.
It's in the
That's
budget,
really
right,
important,
yeah.
especially with all the the grant and everything that's going to be coming down.
Yep.
And then I also heard that position referred to as the forester. So there is a difference between an arborist and a forester.
Yes.
It's really important.
Right.
And to get a village or a city forester, I think is going to be really important with trying to manage the money from the grant. Hiring somebody, as you suggested, I think is a great idea too.
Can you tell us, in your view, what the difference is between a forester and a
Yeah, there's a big
arborist?
difference. An arborist is somebody who has a skill set that can deal with specific trees. They're doing diagnostics, whether it's biological disorders, insect, fungal pathogens, whatever, or abiotic disorders, just trying to I guess to make an analogy, to maybe go to a residential site or a park site or a golf course and diagnose a problem and try to, deal specifically with that. The forester is looking at the big picture. A forester is managing large tree populations. So an arborist is really good at managing a single tree or a few trees on a site, but a forester has to look at the entire urban forest, how it functions, how to make it best. Sometimes that is not, it might make a decision on a single tree that an arborist wouldn't necessarily make, but they're looking more at the big picture.
We've had
Things like-
this discussion many times, and it's clear that what the city, we need is a forester and not an
that was
arborist.
kind of what I was getting at.
The tree
That's
board
kind of what I was getting at.
has a view that we have expressed to the city,
Yeah.
but the city, without asking us, changed the title of the position from forester to arborist. But at least I've gone through the interviews.
Yeah, that's pretty much how
thinking
we've approached the
those
interviews as
duties.
a forester position.
So have you made a proposal, a specific proposal to the city or to us with regards to tree inventory? That seems to be your expertise, right?
Yes,
Is there a proposal?
yes. I sent it to Tim
Okay.
a little bit after we had reconnected at the Indiana Tree Stewards. Originally it was requested by Nicole, and I had met Nicole because I had done the tree inventory for City of LaPorte, and she was on the park board. A year later, I did the Parks Department tree inventory, and when she got the job here, she called me because she remembered me, and so she asked for a proposal. So I sat down with her for two different occasions and just kind of went through the scope of everything, looked at the municipal boundaries. The list is quite extensive: 2 golf courses, 24 parks, 12 municipal owned properties outside of the street trees, and then of course all the street trees. So I did write that. It's custom created
We're
for
very
you.
grateful for that too. That was
Phil,
the key with
it's
the grant.
been indicated to me by the mayor's office and controller that we need to put out an RFP for the proposals and get at least 3
Of
in.
course.
So
yeah.
that's the step that we're at right now, where I've got a developer, our arborist forester needs to develop this request for proposals. You are certainly on the list, and you certainly can just update yours for whatever current you need to do it. However, but there will be an RFP that will be calling out specific things that we're looking for that might not have been included in the last couple of things that we received as far as an inventory. So I think our last inventory was beyond trees and doing like city lamp posts and signs and things like that. And we just want a tree inventory for the overall city tree canopy. And
I have a question about this inventory. Would your inventory include invasive trees?
If it's within the scope, of course, yeah. If it's on the right of
Will
way.
it be within the
It
scope?
will be within the scope.
Yeah. Well, no. What I mean is, if it's within the scope of what we're actually inventorying. So if they're parkways, alleys, the city-owned property, but there's invasive trees everywhere. Of course, they're on private property, and it wouldn't include that.
Right,
That would
right.
be a separate type
Okay,
of project.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so basically when the tree species comes in, probably what we'll ask in the RFP is that the list of invasives be shown in a different font or different color or something to make it easy for us to say, okay, that one, you guys see this one? That one's gotta go kind of thing, so that's,
So we are under the city rules, or whatever rules govern public contracts. We have to get at least 3 proposals, and there has to be a publication of solicitation for public solicitation for proposals.
I think what it is we have to request at least 3. If we only get 1 response, we could act on that. Is that right, Talia?
That's what I
Because I
understand.
know that's what the sanitary district does.
Okay.
So, yeah.
No, of course, that's the case. It exceeds a certain dollar amount that it has to be.
Right,
It has to go to bid. I understand that.
Yeah.
Done hundreds of municipal street tree inventories. That is exactly what we specialize in. So I
Does
started in
that
business
include
20.
drone footage?
Anything's possible. It can be done.
Yeah, sure.
Far enough
That's what we throw, that's what we throw into our proposal. That's
If we can pay for it.
as possibly a separate item. So
Well, if it leads to the eradication of all of these invasive trees in the city, it will be a good thing.
So anyway.
I do have actually one more
Yes.
comment, if I may.
Yes,
And it was with regard to your budget. It's important to know, and it seems like you guys are already have kind of been alluding to that, is that the budget will be adaptively managed. So this is kind of one of those things where, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Nicole had asked me a lot of questions when she was the first one that budget. I'm sure you guys probably changed it before she did. And the tree inventory was one of the first things on there, of course. But yes, tree removal, I think somebody had mentioned, like, tree removal is half of the grant money. And just from driving around, Nicole, for an afternoon, I can understand that, especially because there hasn't been
Any tree care for a very long time.
exactly. So know that that's not really necessarily out of alignment with what it should be. Now, having a tree inventory be the first step is going to help you refine that budget more.
Sure.
Yep.
But I was on the call with the when they originally announced the IRA grant, and I asked this question, like, how much leeway are you going to give the applicants for adaptively managing these budgets? Because some people have tree inventories already and they know exactly how many trees need to be removed, and other people don't. So, and of course nobody answered my question because there's like 4,000 people on the call. There really was 4,000 people on this phone call. So just keep asking those questions to whoever you're dealing with from the federal government on that. It's just that we don't have a tree inventory. Our tree inventory data, our most recent one's 20 years old. We're gonna know more about how much needs to get allocated towards tree pruning, tree removal, tree replacement, reforestation, and all that.
And Drew Hart with the Fish and Wildlife Service seems that we're working with seems to be very
Yeah, he is.
open to knowing that this is just a malleable thing that from year to year is going to change. So
Yeah.
I have a question. Of what use to you or whoever does this inventory would these old inventories be?
None at all.
They're just too
I've
out of
seen
date.
them. Yeah,
Yep.
I've seen them. Nicole shared with me what they had, and I mean a lot. The most recent one from I think it was there was one from 2000 and another from 2020.
2020, yeah.
Yeah, that one had no address data, no location data
Yeah.
on trees. It was more of a tree count for the sake of species composition, I
I
think.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it was for. So.
Okay.
All right, well, the one last thing I just want to mention, just because it was interesting, it's kind of a coincidence, is the case you brought up about Geneva, Illinois. So that site is directly across the street from my Chicago office. In fact, just glancing over at that picture was probably taken right in front of my building.
Did you see the article?
I did not see that article, but I was well aware of this whole thing for, over a year now, because I did the tree inventory for the city of Geneva and the city of Batavia, which is where my office is. It's
Yeah.
the street
And they knew these
between them.
trees were there.
Yeah, those were some great, big, old
Beautiful
oaks. I've known about them for 20 years.
Oh my God.
And I built my building across the street from that, about where that picture's taken from, coincidentally. The other side of the road there is Batavia, Illinois. That's where, when I founded my company, that's where we were. And I did do the tree inventory for both of those communities. I wrote the urban forestry management plan for Geneva, and I wrote the tree ordinance for Geneva. They actually do have a tree, they do have a tree ordinance, and they do have a metric for a protection plan. What's happening on that side of the road, on the Geneva side, is they're building these monstrous warehouses. It's for Amazon's building some of them. And the other one is cold food storage is huge in that area right now. And they're building some of these buildings that take up 80% or more of the footprint of the actual lot. So it's unfortunate, but whoever made the comment about can you shift the building this way or that way if you're in Oaks, they
There's
just
not a lot of room to get that
That's
in the
what-
driveway.
You'd have to shift out of town.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately, money talks at the end of the day, and if they want these big buildings, so I just thought I would.
All right.
Can I have this?
Yes,
Yeah, I didn't actually see this, but.
yes, go ahead.
Well, I actually saw this. I sat there with some of my employees one day when we were in the staff meeting and watched them do it. It's really a shame.
Thank you.
All right, any other,
Thank you for having
Thank
me
you,
here.
Phil.
I tried to
any
talk
other
real
public
fast.
comments? Yes, sir.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to compliment you. I really appreciate your delineation of the forester and the arborist, because I come from a medical background, and so the forester would be the GP and the arborist would be the specialist.
Yeah.
And the GP actually gets probably a lot more done. The specialist is working in the confined area.
You
So,
want your arborist running those crews, sometimes even being the guy up in the bucket truck. And,
yeah.
but the forester's got a big job.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Right.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And
All right, our next meeting is Wednesday, December 6th, right here in this building at 6:30 PM. Do I have a move to adjourn?
I still move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Phil.
thanks for having me.
I would